We find now it's become everyday affair. We cannot even go out of the house in the evenings.
This has started to affect the labor that's working within the plantations. They refuse to work. The elephants are also causing a lot of damage to the plants themselves. They're feeding on the ripe coffee. They are damaging the irrigation tanks that are meant for irrigating the estates.
ಇದು ನಾವೇ ಸ್ವಯಂ ಅಪರಾಧ. ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಕಾರಣ ಪುರುಷರು ನಾವು.
Kodagu, a vast landscape of forested valleys and high mountains, rich in biodiversity and home to a diverse range of animals and plants. This was once a perfect habitat for large herds of elephants, which used these well-connected forests to travel long distances. The people of Kodagu have for centuries lived in harmony with nature, worshipping it, sharing their spaces with other species. But over the past few decades, something changed.
We see that right from 1970s onwards, we have been converting our privately owned forest area within the district into coffee areas. Landscape has changed from a forested area into an area which is dominated by agriculture lands.
ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಏನಾಯಿತು, ಅವು ಓಡಾಡೋ ಜಾಗ ಛಿದ್ರ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಬಂತು.
The colonizing of land and wetland agriculture, along with population growth and development, fragmented the elephants' habitat, disrupting their movement patterns.
So whenever there was a dry spell, the elephants from the eastern part used to migrate to the western part of the district. And this migratory path is directly in line with where we presently find all the coffee estates. And the presence of a lot of humans within the coffee plantations, it could be agriculture workers, it could be the farmers. Number of conflicts or the contact between these wild animals and the human population is much higher now.
This has resulted in unprecedented levels of human-elephant conflict, affecting the day-to-day life of the community and elephant population.
So if you look at the home range of herds or solitary animals like tuskers, that an average of 300 to 400 square kilometers of the area that will be covered by a herd, and around 700 square kilometers by a tusker.
Elephants are long-lived social animals. They are extremely intelligent and have incredible memory power. They have the ability to pass on their experience from generation to generation. Over the years, with the breaking of the whole landscape, these animals have been left confused because their past experience tells them there were forests here. But what they find are human habitations. Chasing them aggressively increases their stress. When pushed from one plantation to the next, herds separate, and the result is greater crop damage and angrier elephants.
ಒಂದು 8-9 ಆನೆಗಳು ಡೈಲಿ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಅರ್ಧ ಭಾಗ ಗೊನೆ ಆಗಿರೋದು, ಅರ್ಧ ಭಾಗ ಈ ಹೊಸದಾಗಿ ನಟ್ಟು ಒಂದು 4 ತಿಂಗಳಾಗಿರೋ ಗಿಡ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಕಳೆದ ಈ 3 ದಿನದಿಂದ ಆನೆ ಬಂದು ಒಂದು ಗಿಡ ಆದರೂ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ವನಾಶ ಮಾಡಿದೆ.
capturing and translocation never worked. As for now, this is not the best measure for mitigating conflicts between people and elephants.
And if you remove one male, there is a possibility of more than 2 males coming to the area.
And often we have seen that these elephants are not very familiar with the landscape and they might end up in unfamiliar places, and also they have no idea how to behave with people. So this might aggravate the problem sometimes.
It is not just people who are affected by this conflict. Several elephants were also killed in the recent years because of electrocution and other reasons.
ಒಂದೇನು ಗೊತ್ತಾ, ನಾವು ಡಿಬೇಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ. PWD ಅವನು ರೋಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತಾನೆ, ಇರಿಗೇಷನ್ನವನು ಕಟ್ಟೆ ಕಟ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತಾನೆ, ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ನವನು ಅವನಿಗೆ ಏನು ಬೇಕೋ ಅವ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತಾನೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಎನ್ವೈರ್ಮೆಂಟಲಿಸ್ಟು ಅವನು ಏನೋ ಬೊಗಳ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತಾನೆ, ಇನ್ಯಾರೋ ಊರವರು ಅವ್ರು ಇನ್ನೇನೋ ಒಂದು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಇವರೆಲ್ಲ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು, ಏನಾದರೂ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು.
The human-elephant conflict is accelerating at too quick a pace for a natural adaptation towards coexistence. The responsibility to intervene and manage this complex socio-ecological problem has come to the Forest Department. In high conflict areas, the general perception of public is that the Forest Department owns the wild animals, and most of the human conflict arises out of this misconception. Given this scenario, the Forest Department has been managing this complex issue through a few interventions. In general, most long-term measures involve removal of the animal from the conflict zone, either by blocking pathways of animals or by removal and relocation of the animals coming in conflict. Elephant-proof trenches and electric fences were laid along the borders of estates and forests. However, these were not very effective because of the constraints of weather and terrain. Being a smart species, elephants soon figure their way around these measures. Older elephants guide the rest of the herd along routes established over many years. These lifelong journeys cannot be stopped by mere barriers.
Over the past 2 years, Forest Department has been working on certain measures that has given our primary objective was to reduce human fatalities and human injuries. To meet that end, we increased the amount of manpower in the field to provide adequate support to the people in need.
The duty of the rapid response team is to patrol the forest boundaries, keeping elephants away from the coffee estates. New age mitigation measures such as GPS collaring of conflict herds and using the location information to predict and mitigate conflict had been implemented since 2017.
As of now, about 40% of all elephants which move between forest and private areas have been GPS collared, and they are under continuous monitoring.
Many times, death is a consequence of being uninformed about the presence of these large animals. There is now a facility for interaction between people and the department about the presence of elephants. The Forest Department is trying to find more innovative solutions to reduce the conflicts, like hanging solar fences, the first of its kind in India.
In the recent years, we had come up with this new design of solar fence, specially designed for elephants. This particular hanging fence is less vulnerable to damage due to elephants, and so far we have completed about 40 kilometers in some of the most conflict sensitive areas, and we have got some very good results. Simultaneously, we are also working on very long term barriers like railway barricades, which are maintenance free and designed exclusively for containing elephants within forest boundaries. So this has significantly reduced human fatalities in the recent years.
So when we are dealing with diverse group of people, if we include the people and then start designing our entire strategy, I think problem becomes more easier, more simpler, and also approach will becomes more smoother.
The perception of the people sometimes is that not much is being done to prevent animal entering their land. It could be true because elephant is a very big animal, and to 100% prevent it from entering people's land is not a very easy thing to do. Rail fencing, rail barricading is not complete yet. It's a very costly affair. I'm sure if the Government of India gives us support, we will be able to complete the railway barricading in all the sensitive locations point. And with that, I think people will have a big relief from the elephants.
The Forest Department has now introduced a new app called e-Parihara for better streamlining the compensation process. The Forest Department staff will examine the actual damage on the spot. The details and photographs taken at the spot will be sent to higher officers for approval. The affected persons don't have to fill up forms or wait for approvals. Conflict Mitigation Fund is also generated directly by the Kodagu Man-Animal Conflict Mitigation Foundation, an initiative from the Karnataka Forest Department to support the victims of high wildlife conflict. It is one of its kind solution for conflict mitigation in the country.
Providing a bus or hiring a bus to take the children from the villages to the schools and then bringing them back safely in high intensity conflict areas. So it has enormous opportunities and then enormous scope for the to use this as an effective tool in addressing a lot of issues which otherwise is not possible in the government scheme.
There is no one solution to reducing conflict. A combination of methods is what is found to work. The Forest Department had gained public confidence and some level of control in managing conflict by means of these technological and administrative interventions. Animals like the elephant are our nation's pride. Their survival is key not only for the health of our wilderness, but also because it is our duty to protect them. But it is also imperative that anything damaged by these animals should be compensated properly. Elephants maintain a balance in the ecosystem in a way that can't be replaced by the human hand.
Elephants are also one of the best ecosystem engineers.
They are the ones which actually grow our forest by eating fruits. Elephant dung has the seed of the tree and it becomes a sapling and then a tree in the future.
Forest departments across the country are faced with an unprecedented challenge to protect wildlife. These interventions by Karnataka Forest Department in managing elephant conflict is a bid to meet that challenge. Dams, highways, power lines, and other such developmental projects have been designed to cater to the needs of humans. These disturb the habitat of elephants and results in conflict. The Forest Department is expected to take complete responsibility for solving this problem. While they are doing everything they can to resolve conflict, it cannot be the sole responsibility of Forest Department alone. Every individual and various departments should join hands with Forest Department to protect gentle giants as well as humans for better future. As a smarter species, humans need to use their intelligence in action and compassion because conflict is not good for either animal or man.